Listen to this episode if you want to use Black Friday to propel your business forward. I know today is the first day after the Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend frenzy. I don't know how you're feeling today, but I hope you're feeling well. This episode today is going to be an absolute masterclass of how we can utilize Black Friday to point out our gaps and identify what we need to do in Q1 and beyond in 2026. Black Friday is the Super Bowl for product-based businesses. It is a weekend that is an absolute mirror of everything that we need to fix inside of our business. Today, we are going to break that down, identify what is your major bottleneck, what do we need to change, and what do we need to do moving into the new year. Like I said, this is an absolute masterclass. I hope that you're ready to take some notes. I would say this is a really good one to have a pad and paper alongside of you to really kind of go through. I'm going to be asking you a lot of guided questions. I'm going to be bringing things to light, and I want you to kind of reflect on it as I'm going through this episode. If you are not ready for a deep, heavy in really getting into the weeds of it episode, this might not be a good one for you today. We're diving into it. We're getting deep into it as well. Black Friday weekend isn't just a sale. It's really a diagnostic tool. It's one of the clearest markers of the actual health and success of your business and how your last 10 months of growth really did go. You hear me say this a lot, and I'll probably say it a couple of times today, is that we really build for 10 months to see the output in November and December. And so as we go into January, it restarts our building to see where we were from next year as opposed to this year. We can look at our marketing, our production, our audience, our systems, what's working, what's not. Sometimes there's usually like three major groups right now. Either A, you're super bummed with how your holiday seasons are going or your Black Friday weekend went so far, and you wish your sales were higher. You feel like you're working really hard, but just like really nothing worked. The next one is that you're content, but it could have been better if you would have planned ahead, if you would have, gotten a little bit more structured, a little bit more organized with it, or you were absolutely swamped and you now you have to fulfill all these orders. You're feeling a little burnt out, and it showed that you have some massive gaps in your production, your inventory, and your operations. No matter which bucket you are in, we have learned a lot. We have a lot of data, and we have a lot to get into today, and I'm so excited to do that with you. I want you to kind of identify which of those three you are. Are you really bummed? You just really didn't have much kind of traction, or are you content with where it was, but it could have been better if you would have been more organized, kind of planning a little bit more ahead? Or were you totally swamped and it showed that you have massive gaps in your production, your inventory, or your operations? Before we dive into kind of the meat and bones of this episode, I just want to take 10 quick seconds to introduce myself. My name is Madison Page. I am a product-based business specialist, and I'm the host of the Small Business Growth Podcast. I help you turn your small business into a brand so you can become that next household name that you always wanted to. Every brand, your favorite brands, have all started as a small business, and so you can get there too. That's what we're all about in this corner of the internet. So when I really look at this, what I see from Black Friday is data. And if you're not new here, that doesn't surprise you. I'm a big data nerd. I love to look at data, but what data does is it gives us insight on what's working, what's not working, and what we need to change into the future. Black Friday and, from this holiday season in general is the single most active buying period of the year. Just about 60% of consumer spending happens in like the final 10 weeks of the year, which is crazy, because what that tells us is that a lot of things are condensed into it. We have a lot of people searching. We have a lot of people looking. Everybody needs to buy something for somebody. And so it should be the easiest time for you to make sales. If people weren't buying, that's telling you something important. If people were buying, but just not enough, it wasn't really that much more than an average day, that's also telling you something. If people were buying at record volume and your back end is broken and now you're going to need to postpone your shipping days and you totally kind of cracked under the pressure, that's also telling you something. January, Jan 1, pretty much like December 20th, everything starts to slow down. So from today, we got 2.5 weeks, right? We got 18 days, 2.5 weeks. The clearer you are on what this weekend reveals, the faster you will grow in Q1 and the more next holiday season will actually pay off. January slows down, February slows down. That is showing your baseline. So if we want to use December and November to build our baseline, we have to be able to identify what's going on right now. So first things first, we're going to go through an audit framework, and then we're going to kind of do a little bit of a reflection to identify what you need to change. We're going to talk about some mistakes, and then we're going to talk about what I want you to do moving forward, kind of looking forward to the next 90 days. Then we're going to talk about what you can do about it. How can we really ensure that we fill all of the gaps that have been revealed over these last few days? So when we really go through this, I want you to audit in 5 different major buckets. First things first is traffic. When we're looking at these things, I want you to look at your traffic. Where were people actually coming from? Did you have people looking? Which platform did you have people coming from? Was it your email? Was it your Instagram? Was it your Facebook? Was it TikTok? Whatever. Was it direct? Were your customers going and Googling your website to try to find you? Did any channel deliver better than the rest? And did any channel deliver nothing? And where was your amount of effort put? Did you rely on one channel that didn't really perform? Did you really heavily put something into one channel and it worked out for you? How were people actually shopping with you? Traffic shows awareness. It shows audience health. If you had no traffic, it shows that we probably had a messaging issue, a visibility issue, nurturing issues. People just weren't really activated. They just weren't really thinking of you. During the holiday season, we need people to think of you during the holidays rather than thinking of everybody else. And so, if you didn't have traffic, you were at phase 1 of the buying cycle and people did not consider you in that phase. So if you had tons of traffic though, but you had low sales, your conversion rate was really low, is that people were really interested in buying from you, but they couldn't go through the cycle. They didn't really know what to buy. Your content might have been a little bit mismatched. And so I want you to look at that and really identify, where did people come from? Where did you put your energy and what really paid off? The next one is conversions. This is sales. What was your site conversion rate over the weekend? Did you actually have a conversion rate that was good? Did it rise? Did it fall? Did it stay flat, kind of at your normal? Did you have more new or returning customers? All of these things are telling us something different. If your conversion dipped, it's because people just didn't really know what to buy. That's usually kind of a website issue. If your conversion rate was high, that's awesome. That tells us that it was probably return customers. They probably knew exactly what they were looking for, but it also usually tells us that we might need new traffic. We might need to find new audience members, because if you have too many people coming to your site and your conversion rate is 14%, 20%, that's awesome, because that tells us that you're converting really highly. People can go through the process. That's great. However, it also tells us that you have a lot of returning traffic, and it's good to have returning customers. It tells us the health of your community, the health of your retention. All of that is really great. But in these active selling times, we are trying to get new customers so we can actually retain them in the future. If your new customer percentage was low, that tells us that you didn't really have too much growth prior to. We needed kind of this big intentional growth period prior to. The next one is offer performance. During Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or the holidays in general, what offer did you run? Like, did you do a discount? Did you do a free gift? Did you do free shipping? Whatever that was, what offer did you run? How did you feel like your audience related to it? And did you feel like there should have been a different offer in place? Because different communities, I've had some clients that will give away 20% off and nobody will buy. But the minute they add a free pair of earrings that only cost them $6 to make, all of a sudden their sales totally increase. Different audiences require different promotions to actually act properly. Did you feel like this offer was a good one? Did you feel like people understood it? Did you feel like people knew what it was? Did they buy immediately? Did they wait until the last minute? How can we really analyze some of these things? If one major product sold, you likely have kind of a hero product that people really love. If people were confused and they didn't really know what to do, it probably wasn't an offer that the messaging was clear. We needed simplicity. That's one thing about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, is simplicity is really big, because there's so much going on. Many people are traveling. Many people are like sitting on the couch while so many other things are going on. What is it that you needed to do to make it as simple as possible for them, but to also perform really well. If you didn't feel like there was much urgency, people didn't really shop right away, either your messaging, your urgency wasn't there, your timing, something just didn't land. When we look at this, we can also look at your customer behavior. When did they buy? What did they buy? What did they ignore? What didn't work? Some of my clients' gift sets work so well for them during the holidays, and others it really doesn't. When I say you have to test these things, this is what we're talking about. We can say, okay, this is industry standard, go and try this, but your audience might not react well to that. How can we really go about that as well? The next stage is your ops and your back end. When sales increase, especially for my bigger clients or my clients that are really just like seeing a lot of momentum, is the back end is actually what breaks on the holiday season. And that's because they have so many sales that they're burnt out. They're running out of inventory. Their systems are basically breaking. Did you run out of inventory? Could you fulfill at scale? Are you totally swamped right now, not being able to fulfill your orders at a proper rate? Did your shipping timeline slow down? Did your website or your email platform glitch? Right now, with the holiday weekend, if you're feeling this way, your business is not ready to scale. If you are feeling like your back end totally broke over the Black Friday weekend, that tells me that you are not ready to actually grow your business, because you can't actually withstand a 2x, a 5x, a 10x in sales with the current production and the staff that you have to fulfill and produce your orders. If that is you, I don't even want you to talk about growing your business until we figure out that problem in the behind the scenes. So what we're looking at here is traffic, conversions, your offer performance, your customer behavior, your operations, and your back end. We want to look at some of those pieces. A big piece of this is going to be your marketing. What did you do in your marketing? Did you feel like it landed? Something we have to look at is, yes, this time of year, your engagement usually drops just because so many people are posting. However, it's not only a drop of engagement, it's also how did it perform? What did you do kind of leading up to it? So those are kind of the first 5 major buckets, but I do want to touch on how you're feeling, because in business, you as the founder matter. You as the actual operator of the business matter, and how you're feeling today. If you're feeling stressed, disorganized, embarrassed, kind of like you missed out on something, that's also data for you. And I want you to kind of reflect on that. And again, this is one that we're going to give you a little love nudges in the right direction. If you felt calm and prepared and you were able to just execute, that's data. That's awesome. You prepped early enough. If you feel kind of resentful now that you have to hustle and you're like, shoot, now, you have all of these other problems going, that is also something to reflect on. If you feel like you absolutely missed out on the holiday season, you feel like you've worked your absolute butt off the last 10 months and you don't really have much to show for it yet this holiday season, that's also data. We have to go back and we have to say, do we have traffic? Do we have interest? Do you have eyes on your marketing? Do we have interest in your marketing? Do we have traffic to your website? Do we have people adding things to your cart? And do we have people checking out? If the answer anywhere is no, we have to identify why that might be. Your emotions during Black Friday reveal your relationship with your marketing discipline, with your planning, with your operations, with your organization, with your strategy, your founder preparedness. One thing about the holiday season is I get an influx of DMs 3 weeks prior to Black Friday being like, hey, Maddie, what should I do for Black Friday? My answer is, hey, what have you been doing? Have you been prepping your audience to buy? Have you been, talking about gifting? Have you been actually kind of preparing for Black Friday? And the answer is usually no. They were so caught up in the fall that they kind of forgot about the holidays. And that is something that we need to change moving into the new year, because this is the difference between proactive versus reactive business. If you are reactive, you're always on your heels chasing the next thing. You're always shoot, you're waking up and you're creating the content and something isn't working, so you're trying it and you're doing it all at once. Versus if you're proactive, things are kind of flowing for you, right? They're organized, you feel solid, you know what you're posting. Even if you're making it in the morning, you at least have it planned out that you know what's actually going on. And so I want you to kind of emotionally reflect as well as, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling kind of bummed? Are you feeling, kind of embarrassed that you didn't really do much, that you've worked so hard and you're kind of still at this point? There's no wrong answer. And I just want you to know that you're not alone in any feeling, because I know my next week or so is going to be talking to my clients about every emotion in the book. Some of them are going to be elated, but they're also going to be like, holy cow, we got a lot of work to do. Some of them are going to be really excited and, ready to make some changes, but they're going to be pretty bummed about what happened this past weekend. And so I really want you to look at this, and we basically have to identify what some of the common mistakes are and the things that you may have done. Hey, I'm jumping in here for 30 quick seconds for those of you listening and thinking, all right, but how do I actually apply this to my business? Every week here, I share strategies, case studies, growth mistakes to avoid, but your business growth is nuanced. So your business support has to be nuanced as well. That's why all of my support includes me inside of your business, your ideas, your launches, your content, perfecting what you're already building and uncovering your hidden opportunities to scale. This isn't a cookie cutter course. It's a high level personalized support system to help you optimize your brand, your strategy, and every single person your business touches. If you want my eyes and my brain on your branding, your sales, your marketing, and your overall growth plan, click the link in the show notes to apply. Let's see what we can build together. First things first is if you waited until November to plan, then that is probably number one, you were very reactive and your community wasn't actually prepped for Black Friday to actually be your Super Bowl. Warming up your audience prior to 90% of your sales happen prior to the actual sale happening. So if you haven't been warming them up, that's a really big issue. A major mistake that people have is that they feel like they're being too salesy during the holidays. And so you didn't actually have enough, you weren't emailing enough, you weren't posting enough, you weren't actually getting in people's faces. You were afraid to be salesy. You were afraid to sell. Well, no wonder your sales might be a little low if you were afraid to sell during the busiest, noisiest weekend of the year. Literally, engagement is down. That's okay. I still want you to post it. I still want you to send that email. Maybe you were kind of unclear about what you were going to run, and so you just whipped up a 20% off last minute site-wide sale. Maybe Black Friday is your only promotion of the holiday season. It's another really major mistake. You still have time this next week or two before the cutoff from shipping. You still have time to make sales. Don't make Black Friday, Cyber Monday your only sale. Before I had clients running holiday specials in end of October, early November. They might not have been called holiday specials or Black Friday, but you have to send more than one email. You have to prep your audience that something's coming. You have to get people excited. If you are not collecting data today, that's another major mistake. Go back, look at your data. Maybe you don't know how to run it, but we have to identify, how do we analyze it? How do we really go and look at that data? And one of the biggest mistakes is that being reactive instead of proactive. Many people are looking back and saying, holy shit, I should have prepped more. I should have done more. I should have, done more throughout the year. Another thing is these aren't your character flaws. This isn't you as a person. This is just a strategic, skills gap that you have right now. And we can fill that. It's something that we can change. So when we really do some reflection as business owners, as high achievers, as perfectionists, we often can say, I failed this. I sucked at this. This was my fault. None of this is your fault. There's no fault in this. What we are doing now is we are trying to identify how we can change this moving forward. Black Friday magnetizes everything that's going on. If you have strong marketing, it shows. If you have messaging gaps, it reveals them in the way that nobody cared about your offer. If your audience is cold and not really involved in things, it exposes it when everybody else has sales flowing and yours just really aren't. If your product is in demand and people were buying and holy cow, this one product was well above everything else as a bestseller, it proves it. If your operations were built to scale, you could see it in the increase in your production. You actually could create that moving forward. This makes you realize that you have to go back and look at what actually just happened so we can identify your gaps. The holiday season is the payoff for the work that you put in the last 10 months. So a question that I want you to ask is, look at last Black Friday, last holiday season, go and run your numbers. How are you up from last year? Are you at the same spot? Are you down from last year? What really was that major gap that you had? Did your last 10 months of work, your last 10 months of effort of trying to grow and rebuild and expand, did it pay off in these last 4 weeks? And do you see this increase in sales? Again, it's the Super Bowl. The Olympians don't just show up to the Olympics to perform. They're training prior to, and that's what actually gets them to the Olympics. That's what makes them actually perform better every time that they go there. The biggest question that I want you to sit with yourself here right now, looking at 2024 holidays and looking at 2025 holidays, going into 2026, what do you need to change in order to create the business that you want? What do you need to change in order to create the reality that you've really been wanting? What do we need to add? What do you need to learn? What do you need to solve? Who do you need to hire in order to make a difference in your current reality? Are you willing to be here in 2026, how you're feeling right now? Maybe your sales are the same. Maybe you're really bummed. Maybe your back end is just totally breaking everywhere. Like you are just like, holy cow, we do not have the amount of staff that we need. What are you putting on your list right now for January 1? What are you putting on your list to tackle in Q1 right now? Because what we're looking at is Black Friday is a mirror of everything that's wrong in your business. Black Friday is a mirror and it's reflecting back at you. These are your major gaps. If we look at your marketing, did people go to your website? Did you have a lot of website clicks? Were people clicking? Yes, no. If they were, that's awesome. Then were they buying? Were they adding to their cart? Then were they buying? If they weren't clicking, where in your marketing did we fall flat? How can we really look at that moving forward? So what I want you to do kind of with this audit, with this episode, these are your clear next steps for moving forward. First things first, I want you to identify the single biggest bottleneck that you had. How we do this is we look at the buying cycle. We have traffic. So you have eyes on your marketing. You just have visibility. And then we have interest. And then we have activation, which is people going to your website. They were activated to go learn more. They were clicking on your website, which turns into website traffic. And then they were either adding to their cart or bouncing, and then they were converting. So I want you to go back and look at that. Did you have eyes on your social, on your emails? Did you have enough open rates? Did you have enough, eyes overall? Did you have interest where people were consuming it, commenting on it, maybe clicking on the links? Yes or no? Profile visits, website clicks, things like that. And then when we look at your website, were people actually hitting your website? Maybe that's Google. Maybe that's, other things. So how are people finding you? And then, okay, they're on your website. Did they add things to your cart? This is something I've been seeing a lot, is that people have traffic, but they have like a 3% add to cart rate. We're looking for like an 8 to 12% add to cart rate. Shopify will tell you that data. What is your add to cart rate? Did not a lot of people add to cart? That tells me they were missing something in the marketing or the buying process, that they just didn't find what they were looking for, or they didn't know where to go. They had some sort of directional issue. They were adding to cart, but they weren't checking out. That tells me that there wasn't either urgency. Maybe there was a big fee they weren't anticipating. Maybe the expectation wasn't there. And then did you gather them after checkout in an abandoned cart sequence, something like that? So I want you to look at that and say, where was your single biggest roadblock? Was it traffic, conversions, offer, even maybe your offer fell flat, your retention, maybe you had too many return customers, maybe your operations, or was it just your marketing? Maybe it was your planning even. Your planning could have been maybe you were like, Maddie, I wish we would have planned more than 2 weeks ahead of time. I wish I would have been doing more. I wish I was doing some of these other things. The next one is I want you to decide your primary Q1 strategy. Where do you want to be next holiday season? Where do you want to be next holiday season? How do you want the end of 2026 to look? And we have to work backwards. What is the first step that we need to take in order to get closer to that? What is that first step? Do you need traffic? Do you need conversion? Do you need operations? Do we need better offers? Do we need our marketing to just land better? Do we need our email marketing? Do we need to be more organized? Do you need to focus on visibility, content strategy, messaging, website optimization, systems, inventory, things like that? Or do we need to really look at your product suite and say, shoot, we haven't been pushing this product enough and a ton of people really bought that one product. And now I want you to identify, what are you going to do? You don't have to do it now if you don't want to. We can continue to execute this end of the year kind of strategy here. But what do you need to do Jan 1? What do we need to start putting into place to make that happen? If you aren't sure what to do in Q1, there's a couple of holidays, but usually like Mother's Day is kind of one of those first major holidays. We have Mother's Day, Father's Day in May and June. Valentine's Day can be really big for some people, but it's hard to get too much traction in the like 3 weeks that you need before Valentine's Day. But I want you to identify your single biggest roadblock right now. I want you to identify where you want to be at the end of next year and try to reverse engineer that. What is the first priority that you need? So if you want to 10x your sales next year, that's awesome. What do you need in order to do that? Do you need visibility first? Do you need your sales first? Do we need to have better team? Do we need to build out the team in order for that to be the case? What do we have to do? And let's start making that strategy for Q1. I'll talk about here doing some annual planning and things like that, but that is what we have to do. Again, Black Friday is the biggest mirror of the health of your business right now. It's showing you when the most amount of people in the world are buying. Literally, there is no weekend out of the year that more people shop than Black Friday to Cyber Monday. What naturally happened in your business? Did you have eyes? Did you fall flat? Were you way too busy? What was your reality? And what do you need to do now? And we have to use this as an opportunity to look at our gaps, point them out, and identify what we need to change moving forward. This is one of the busiest times of year, and it's one of the biggest times for you to gather a bunch of data. Going and looking at what worked, what didn't work. More people are shopping. Every single person in your audience needs to buy a gift for somebody. Were they buying from you? Did they think about you? Were they searching on your website? Did they reach out to you? Did they like the offer that you had? Everything that we do preps for this. You have to be organized. We have to be more proactive. We have to be more, structured and strategized in order to make things make more sense. We can't just keep doing what you have been doing and expect a different result. We constantly have to be pushing the vehicle forward. And I know that sounds annoying. I know that sounds like, Maddie, but when do we get to stop? I feel like I'm working so hard. You need to be able to identify this. And this is why I'm so interested in data. This is why my clients get mad at me all the time. I'm like, well, what does the data say? What is your marketing data? What is your sales data? How do we go and how do we identify that? Because if you can read your data, you can identify the health of your business. It's something that we do with everybody. Most product-based businesses, they really don't need more ideas. They don't need more direction. You have probably 1,000 ideas in your head right now. They need you to be able to interpret the data, spot the gaps, and build a plan that actually works to fill the gaps. Right now, you have a very evident leaky bucket. You have a bucket, there's water spurting out the sides, and we need to identify where those leaks are so we can slap some of that Flex Seal on them and close the gaps moving into the new year so you can consistently grow. What do you need? And do you even know how to get there? Do you know how to integrate that? Do we know how to do that? If you're feeling disappointed, overwhelmed, maybe you're even energized, but you don't know how to grow from here, this is where you have to make the change. And you don't have to do it now. I know it's the holiday season. You're about to sit down with a hot cocoa and, spend some time with your family that you deserve. You deserve to take some time off. That weekend between Christmas and New Year's is kind of a weird week anyway. If you're somebody that, the hobbies and the new year, new me can go into, that week can be really powerful. If you're somebody that you're like, you know what, Maddie, I'm taking that dang week off and I'm going to sit on my butt and I'm going to watch The Grinch a million times, I also fully support you on that. But this is where you get to decide, where are you in 2026? Who do you need to become in Q1 to really propel yourself forward into the new year? This is where that comes from. If you guys don't know, I do work with people to do this. Again, I am not here to pitch you. That is not what my podcast is all about, but we do have our Black Friday offers going on right now. They actually started yesterday. I didn't want you guys to have to deal with it while you were going through Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I want you to be able to sit, look at this and say, do I know how to execute this? Do I know how to analyze this? Do I know how to fill these gaps? Do I not know? And if your answer to that is like, Maddie, I truly have no idea what to do, or Maddie, I just really need somebody to like direct me in all of my ideas, figure out what the priority is and help me with this, that is what we do inside of all of our offers. Every single one of our offers has a bonus support going on right now. And so if you guys are looking to work with me, if you love my podcast, of course, this is only truly 10% of either what I teach or what I can offer you with actually me coming into your business. I don't sell courses. I sell support networks where I'm coming into your business with you. And it really is like we're on calls, we're private messaging, and we're chatting to make sure that you have this. Our Black Friday offers are going on right now. We are doing a little delayed Black Friday because I know my consumer and I know that you guys have been absolutely running wild these last few weeks. And so if you are feeling bummed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you have a lot to fix, if you're feeling like, holy cow, next year has to be different than this year, this is the time to jump to start in the new year. You don't have to start now. We can start in the new year when you're ready, when you're refreshed, and when we're able to really go. You can go to my Instagram at This Is Madison page. We will be chatting about it there. You can DM me Black Friday and we can talk about the offers there as well if you're looking for anything specific. Black Friday is a beautiful teacher. It doesn't judge you. It reveals to you what's broken and what's not. It reveals to you what you need to fix and what still hasn't been fixed. And once you know where your business is strong, what worked well, it's another really good reflection point. What actually worked really well? I just kind of like harped on the negative here, but you can also harp on the positive. What are you proud of yourself for? What worked well? What did really well? And where was your business stretched beyond its capacity? You can make 2025 and 2026, moving into 2026, your most intentional year yet, if we can really take this time to reflect. So I want you to sit down. I want you to say, what was my biggest roadblock? What did we do really well? Those are some really good questions. As business owners, we really often stop actually reflecting on ourselves. We often just like move on to the next thing. We move the goalpost. We say, okay, we made $100,000. I want 250. And you never actually move to that next step. That is what we're doing here. I want you to reflect on the good, reflect on the bad, reflect on the ugly, and start looking forward to what do you have to change right now while it's fresh to make sure that next year is a better year. And if you don't know how to integrate it, if you don't know how to read it, if you don't know how to analyze it, if you're like, Maddie, I'm just winging it over here, running my business, we're just trying, you can always reach out to me for some support. I would love to do that going into the new year with you. I know that business ownership can be absolutely crazy. You deserve to have somebody that understands what you're building, knows what you're building, and knows exactly how to get you to that end goal. If that's you, come hang out with me on Instagram at This Is Madison page. Just DM me Black Friday and we can talk about the offers there if that's something that you're interested in. But if not, no worries. I hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving with your family. I really hope that you're on the positive side of Black Friday and that you're feeling like you had a successful time and that you're feeling really proud of yourself. No matter what, you should be proud of yourself and identify what are those things that you are really proud of because you deserve that too. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always, and I will chat with you very soon. If you found today's episode helpful and are looking for more tangible ways to grow your business, make sure you are subscribed to the show. If you want to dive deeper into this topic more, click the link in the show notes and join our completely free podcast community where we dive into every single podcast topic as well as give some bonus support and free coaching calls. And finally, if you are interested in getting my eyes on your business to find your hidden opportunities to scale, apply to work with me one-on-one in the show notes or on our website. Remember, it's not enough to listen. Don't forget to implement too. I love ya. I'll see you in the next episode.